These houses along the side look very old because there's a height restriction on the front in order to protect the views, ironically, of the houses on the other side of the street. It's not that these people are poor, it's just that they will not invest any more money in the property. This is called a canal, but I suspect that it was originally a wandering waterway, and then they just progressively over time straightened it out and dug it out. But it's extraordinarily wide. And presumably we're shifting into another canal now. Notice that we're at high tide right now, but a couple of months ago apparently at high tide it put the water at about 1.5 feet above the street level.
Another kind, the color inside look like the lemon. Yeah. This one is sweet. Yeah. And the smell very nice. Or when we don't have the tea, okay, we just boil the water, pick some, put it.
Sorry. Get the feeling that all these boats are on a conveyor belt, just like Walt Disney would do. The reason these are all cut off, these palm trees, is they're then used to create the roofs for the houses. And of course the bank is wet because the tide is down. Little collision here. No surprise, with 1,000 boats where 500 should be. This is just a continuous train. Kind of plow your way through all the boats. Now we have some running room. Kind of like the Everglades, except the channels are a lot straighter here in the Everglades, but it's that same thing. Without all these boats, it'd be a very intimate little kayak trip. This is serious work for these folks because, first of all, it's somewhat hard work. These are not light draft kayaks. Secondly of all, this is how they feed their families. Just the stresses and the movements of the joints. Okay, now we're on the tourist loop for lunch. Okay, Here's the press. I think this is the coconut candy manufacturing place. And then the fluid is cooked in this oven while it's stirred using an old drill press. And here's the mold for it. And then once they've got it cooled off, then they chop it all into pieces and then hand wrap it. I put it in those little forms, which will allow them then to slip it inside of a plastic bag ready for sale. So if you thought this was done by machine, you're right and wrong. Here it's not. Elsewhere it is.
Take the meat out of the shell. It's the meat and the shell. The way working, you see. More.
And then here's the final package.
Giá này thì sao?
I think this may be the deadly red chili plant. And this is the tree from which this fruit comes. And these, I think, are baby coconuts. Probably about 10 ferries coming and going all around here right now in this one spot. Almost looks like there's three going to the exact same spot from the same spot. Ourselves and the two you see in front. Yeah, it's illegal in the United States.
Some year.
Notice the life preservers being worn.
A village, they buy from the village road, then they go home. Then the boat also the house of people. One boat about 2 or 4 members. Usually the little kids, the lower. $150 or $200 US.
$150 to $200 for a boat like that.
We don't come here. Phong nhé. Alo, đi coi đi là chuyện nhỏ hay chứ chưa? Nói chuyện lại, nói chuyện đi.
Now notice that this fellow in the middle checks both of them when he catches them to make sure they're of the quality he wants to buy.
They don't have the time. No, that's your one.
These folks would have bought what they wanted, and now they're back off to wherever they're going to do with that. This guy's got a double rig system instead of the single system you usually see. Somebody's flying a kite this early in the morning and looks like it's pointed towards the moon. Right up here. They're transferring the lettuce. Now the people in the lower boat will take that lettuce and spread it around to probably little markets wherever they live. We've seen it before, but all of those poles that are probably used upstream, although they're offloading them here, but used for people to put their houses on those stilts that you see, and probably a myriad of other uses. Now on this boat, she has just a very small propeller. You can see it. It's probably not more than 6 inches in diameter. Notice he's got two. He's only using one right now, so he can really haul if he needs to when he gets fully loaded up. See, this lady's going around to buy the stuff she needs for her store or her village or whatever. Remember, these are the homes of these people as well as their place of business. That pot on the back is for water, fresh, clean water. Notice the little shrine in the window? Fruit almost looks like a pear, but don't know what it is. Probably it's like potatoes. Melon or squash, I think. You can see that this is a wholesale market, not a retail. This is a person just like a street vendor who's selling coats and so forth, not only to us, which they do, but to the folks that are working here, as you might expect. preparing these for this fellow here in the nearby boat. She's got all the pineapples she wants. Now she needs to go to the next place. This is probably a family operation. Man and his wife and their mom, one of their moms. This is a very nice tourist boat, a wooden boat. I don't know if it's teak or not, or just painted that color. The engine's in great condition. All this is very atypical. She's probably selling to anybody who'll buy, but probably the actual boat owners themselves, because that looks like the kind of things they would need for their own needs that they may not get on board, like meat. If we look inside this boat, we can see that it's completely filled up, it looks like, with pineapple. At least the back hold part is. Okay, we're sitting right next to a boat that was filled up with pineapple, and you can just smell the pineapple. It's wonderful. But now we can kind of take a look inside the boat. This is the hold. But up there, if I take the camera inside, there we go. Okay, now you can see we're looking at pots in the sleeping area, probably. And here on top, they have a little pet bird. Kind of a last pan across the floating market.
5 years ago.
And this larger boat, I think, filled up with rice. And this probably is not one of the things that this man will take his empty boat and fill it up with, but it's that same idea. He'll fill this up with things that the villagers of the plantation he bought it at can use, because he knows what they need from long experience. Completely normal trade, just very, very basic. Fruit. A little bit of innovation.
Ladies, run them on. The floating market. And the water of the year. You come in with your holiday town. One more of the water here already. Tell your friends.
So this is the floating market of Pai Ray.
We pay for the drink and the pound.
It's a wholesaler's market. This is where the boats that come from the, let's say, the pineapple plantations arrive here, and then they sell off to smaller distributors, etc., etc., etc. And then with their boats empty, they find the various products that the villages they serve and plantations they serve need, and fill up their boats with that for the river trip upstream.
The bank of the canal river to keep the land not collapsing. From the side journey.
Oh, okay.
So they make like this or smaller. If the family make, they make it small.
So this is an offering created by a community. They'll put offerings like rice, money inside there, and they push it out into the river as an offering to the river in the hopes of safeguarding the members of the community who travel on that river. Back in there is a rice factory, and that's a conveyor belt for bringing the bags down and loading the boats with it. These coffins cost about 2 million dong. Here they're using rice husks as fuel. Put it in this stove here. Heat these ovens. Here's the ash from it. And here in slightly concave pans, if you will, directly over the fire, they poured some of that rice fluid, and it will dry out and leave them with this emulsion, if you will, of rice paper. And here's the rice soup, for lack of a better name. And it looks like that's some kind of a mesh there, so that water tends to flow down through that membrane, leaving just the rice. The way she picks it up with that wand type device. See, these are starting to cool here, and then they'll put them out on these racks to dry. And in this large room they store the rice husks, which would probably be made in the nearby rice factory and sold to them. So this rice fluid is made of rice milk and water and tapioca. And it's also the same material that's made to use noodles, and I think this stuff eventually becomes noodles. He's going to install these things over on these racks here.
After steaming, carry outside. They spray a little water. Then they cut it. They use tapioca because if they don't add tapioca inside, it's not sticky. They use tapioca, or sometimes they use another kind of starch. Yeah. The rice paper, the way they make, the same way like this, but no tapioca, no tapioca. And when they make it, like that. It's That's why now you see the farm outside most are empty.
Hello. You see, this is still rather gelatinous. Later, when this stuff dries, he'll spread some oil over it like that, and then he peels it off like that, and then they just start stacking them. This one is grooming the other female.
I handle a lot of things at
I know what you mean.
murky on that.
I know it. First time I've seen a green butterfly, I think, ever. This is part of a large tree. I think it's this tree right here. If I follow up this branch, yeah, it is. It's interesting, it has all the beautiful flowers, but no leaves. Here's a pile of burned rice husk ash that will be sold off. This is a very strange little flower. These bags say sugar of Thailand, but I don't know whether it's sugar or rice. My guess is they just reuse the bags from wherever they get them. I think the way this huge wood and metal machine works is the rice comes down into those bins and then down the chute into these machines, which through centrifugal force eliminates the husk, and then the rice goes back out through those one or two of those pipes, either the pipes on top or the pipes below.
When the weather like this, the rice somewhere 2 drops a year, somewhere 3. Depend on the land or and 1 hectare usually about 5 tons. Somewhere 6 months, more than 6 months. Usually on the you see the if you want to blend the rice, here's the water. We put into the water the good ones in. The bad one come out. We collect the good one, the one at the bottom. Then we collect it, put into the bag like this. Draw carefully. Then we throw the whole bag into the river of the canal. Keep the rice in the water about 2 days. Then after that, we carry out. Okay, that's the that here.
This bag apparently represents a real low quality rice. My guess is that these big, huge engine motors are used to drive fans that blow the rice and the husks where they want it. Here you can see the maze of pipes. I don't know what they do, although eventually some of these must blow the rice into these conical devices, which are then used to fill the bags of rice. But this looks like late 1900, early 20th century Industrial Revolution type of technology with the big bells, the wood structure, and a little bit of heavy iron. The use of these huge motors represented a step. Actually, it was an old step where you had motors driving a long drive train chain of machines. The problem with this design is that if one machine breaks down and you have to repair it, you have to stop the whole system. All the machines have to stop. So it's much better. The next evolution, actually, and this was probably a century ago, was to have one engine, one motor for every functional process, so that if that unit broke down, that's all that was isolated. So my guess is that that system we're looking at inside there rotates at a very high speed. Probably there's some kind of adjustment of fins on the inside that causes the rice to bounce around a lot. I don't think you get more 19th century than this right here. Combination of wood, some milled work, and a lot of iron. But it also causes the rice to bounce down through here. What purpose that serves, I don't know. It'd be fun to have this cleaned off and see what that label says. Here again, a different kind of centrifugal force machine. You look at all this moss that's covered with moss or with dust, which is probably a combination of dirt and rice dust. You can just imagine with that machinery, as mechanical as it is, plus the whir of those engines, the incredible noise that must exist in here. It'd be interesting to know when this machine was built. Look like some kind of mats or blankets. I haven't a clue what they would be used for. There's a whole row of them all along the side here and all along here, unless they're just burlap bags rolled up. That's probably it. I don't know whether that has rice in it or husk. This is the new bridge that we saw last night from the other side on the ferry. one half of it done, it looks like. Maybe it's going to be the whole bridge down. Yeah, I guess it looks like it will be. Several of us had lunch together at the restaurant, and now we're just independently wandering about for an hour or so before we meet again at the hotel and take off on a boat for Chau. This is a nice little park area down through here. It's actually shaded, which is kind of nice. And you'll notice that somebody does a lovely job of sculpturing the foliage. This is one of the central docks for tour groups, so it's one of the reasons why this is probably nicely maintained. Although much of Vietnam so far in their cities is nicely done like this. They're kind of a raised area leading up to this large statue of Ho Chi Minh. This little street, for those who are aware of it, is the equivalent of a Ace Hardware and an industrial supply. There's kinds of galvanized plumbing stuff. There's all kinds of tubing down there. And here, P66 is an adhesive of some sort. And here these men will prefab anything fabricated out of pipe or steel or whatever. Here they probably can duplicate, repair, or fabricate anything that you need. This is my hotel here. Here there's so few cars that the motorcycles and scooters could presume to be in both lanes. Sometimes it appears that our driver will give deference to someone carrying a child, someone who's carrying a lot of heavy weight on their cycle, and they don't bother to even blow the horn, they just wait until they can get by them. Other times when some car or truck is hanging in the left lane, not taking advantage, not being slightly aggressive, then he'll start blowing his horn and it starts to get ever louder and longer until it just intimidates the guy and he moves over. What I think they do with their bridges, they build one half the bridge and they'll finish the road on either side of it so that you then have good flow of traffic, and then they'll finish this side of the bridge at a later time and complete the road. I think the people that roam the world in sailboats have an interesting life.
Yeah, if I was rich enough, I'd.
Okay.
Well, not full time, obviously, but.
There's some kind of a boat works.
Yeah. No, I actually have a car again. And on the same day, I managed to use my credit card. Oh. Second day. That's yeah. I'm gonna read some
So this boat is designed also to hold probably more likely the rice husks, which are then used as either fertilizer, animal feed, or in some instances fuel. Today we're going to a Cham village. Cham was one of the early civilizations here in this part of the world. Also competed with the Khmer. This is a close-up view of the stilt houses, of course. Notice how high that area is. Sometimes the water can get that high, apparently, in 96 and in 2000. So we're going to visit the Cham people here. But first thing you notice that this is a Muslim mosque.
No. Maybe Cham, because this is the family Cham people. Some of them follow Hindu, some of them follow Muslim. Later I will tell you because this is the family. Language. They can speak three kind of language. Three kind of language: Vietnamese, Cham, English, Arabic, Phong. Okay, so now we move English.
We're entering into the living quarters out of the shop area.
Very beautiful house.
This is the living quarters, the bed area and so forth.
And her husband and their daughter. They have another 3 children. They go to another country
This is the kitchen.
for school.
Yes.
Oh.
For school. This is the kitchen.
Does the house keep...
Đi chị về lên xin được đâu giúp vô này. Where are you from?
From Germany.
Oh, Germany. Germany.
This is the front of the house next door. So you can see how this basic wood construction. The house we were just in, he said parts of it are 120 years old, but you can also see this house slightly leaning to the left. Interesting how European it looks. These perhaps are headstones. Ah, okay. So the Muslims bury their dead, whereas the Hindus will cremate their dead because the upflow of ash and smoke and so forth is what carries the Hindu dead to heaven. Uniqueness in design of these, what I assume are cement spatulas. Again, this hallway looks very much in not only design but in architectural layout too, like a Christian type of building. And who says this has to be specific to one religion? Notice that old carved one there. This is interesting because it looks like the lotus blossom. Here again, the picture reminiscent of one that I saw hanging on the front of a building, I think in Bangkok. My guess is that this is the main part of the temple, the part that faces towards Mecca, the direction that people would face when they come here. I don't know whether this reflects donations or something else within the church. It's the place of ablutions, whatever that is. Here the design of the top of the windows is reminiscent of Muslim design, the onion tower design.
Okay, one light please, first time.
These look like some kind of a pastry, but they're actually composed of thin slices of banana left out here in the sun to dry. Okay, now as I pan around here, you're going to see that some of this has a slightly different color. You'll notice this is a little yellower, and that's because it's just about ready to be harvested. It's an older rice, and older in the sense that it's been growing longer. And as I pan around here, you'll notice a brighter green because this is newer part. Notice the kites, the kids are flying already. And they're okay, now I'll flash down in here and you can take a look at this is the rice here. You can see how it's just starting to drape. And this is the newer stuff. Over here it's draping and it's the older. And you can see that I can probably start to pull it off. Yes, well, not quite. And it's coming off a little bit. Okay, so there's the rice. I'm guessing these Naga are on the top of a temple, that this is what this is. I'm not sure. Perhaps we're even going to visit it right now. This is the front of the temple here, I suppose, yes. Just pan across the top. I want the sun behind. This is Chinese. I don't know. It's probably this mixture of religions. This means Hindu, Buddhist, familyism, if you will. The beginning of the coconuts, but I'm not sure that that's true. Maybe a different kind of palm plant. This fish farm?
Yeah.
Okay, this is like a family fish farm here. Because we're at a family home. Family apparently has this menagerie of dogs also. Now they're feeding Okay, when these people harvest their fish, they remove the meat that they want. Any meat and bone that's left over goes into this machine and comes out as that fish food you just saw being thrown to the fish. So this is a floating village of families, if you will, who of course are fishermen. It's interesting, here's an electrical generator. A big one too, actually, sewing machine. The family cookware. Shrine. You can see into their inner living room area. There's massive chairs. The shrine. Probably an eating table. pulled out from the family. This may be 3 bags of rice and storage of food. This looks like it has something to do with an incense making machine. Yeah. I think this coats puts the incense onto the so she slides it in the left side and it comes out with that incense stuff on the right side. Now you notice that all the larger fish have been fed, but now this area is filled with smaller fish. They apparently are fed in a different spot that the big fish apparently can't get to. A smaller, more specific food for their size and growth. They may well wait until the monsoon season when the water rises to float these things by hand farther up to where they would have a saw that they can then cut all these logs into lumber with. That may be why they're all just lying here. You know, there you can see a conveyor belt to bring the rice down, but also the tube to load the boats with the rice husk.